Hello, my name is Matthew, and today I will be delivering my presentation to you on developing a science club program based on informal learning environments. This was the subject of my master's dissertation, which I formulated into a paper with the guidance and supervision of my supervisor, Dr. Charles Bonello. Here is a brief outline of the presentation, where I will start with the abstract, which was the abstract of the paper, what the paper was about, what my master's was about. The introduction and literature review will examine the research and the literature consulted for this study. The methodology employed will see how I gathered and generated the data, which was then analyzed and put under scrutiny in the results and analysis section before the results and analysis were discussed and the relevant conclusions obtained in the discussion and conclusion section. So, what are informal learning environments? Informal learning environments are basically environments where learning can take place outside of the formal educational institutions. These can include science centers, science clubs, natural history museums or science museums, and much more. Informal learning is essentially science learning that occurs outside the traditional formal schooling realm, according to Dierking, Falk et al. Why informal learning environments? They can introduce learners to scientific skills and concepts, the culture of science, and the role science plays in everyday life. They can reach people of all ages with varying levels of interest and knowledge. They can support science learning and provide an insight into how science can be made meaningful to people of all ages, backgrounds, and cultures. So the aim of this study was to design and develop a resource pack of science activities which would stimulate young students' interest in science in an informal learning environment effectively. How did we do this? We generated quantitative and qualitative data in the form of an individual feedback form and semi-structured interviews from 8 science educators of varying backgrounds and experiences. The feedback generated for each activity was then used for the development of a science club program that could support formal learning. So, the study investigated the potential of science club activities as an educational tool, with them being identified in the prior literature consulted as effective and engaging. The research also showed that they are capable of empowering students to truly take control over their own learning. The research showed that science is enhanced when students and teachers have access to the widest number of resources possible. Educators should therefore consider the role of informal environments in the design of high-quality science learning experiences, since such environments complement, supplement, deepen, and enhance classroom science studies, while increasing the amount of time participants can be engaged in a project or topic. Quality and time, the two determiners of a truly effective and meaningful educational experience. Interaction with said environments beyond the school has also been shown to increase creativity among students and tap into their different learning styles. Indeed, informal learning sites across the globe are moving away from the passive look but don't touch approach and have developed engaging and interactive exhibitions designed to support inquiry and personal investigation for students. The advantage of science clubs, as shown by the research, they help students to better understand scientific concepts, processes, and procedures. They enhance student achievement and stimulate interest in science. They motivate students to work together and share experiences, ideas, and knowledge. They motivate students to participate in and commit to and take ownership of their learning. They allow students to gain scientific inquiry skills and develop scientific reasoning, as well as improve their communication skills. They provide a sense of belonging to a group, and they build on learners' sense of future career options in STEM fields. So the methodology employed was as follows. A resource pack was initially prepared for teachers' evaluation, with the pack containing 16 activities related to physics, chemistry, and biology, targeting students aged between 14 and 16 roughly. 9 science educators were then chosen based on factors like gender, age, teaching experience, teaching qualifications, subject area, subjects taught, and the type of school they've taught at. Unfortunately, one teacher was unavailable to provide her feedback, thus leaving us with a sample size of 8 participants. The questionnaire was then sent out in the form of a Google form to each participant. Before 3 of these participants were selected for individual semi-structured interviews based on the relevance of their feedback to provide a broader and more holistic and detailed and accurate picture of teachers' views on this. Thus, the questionnaire was divided into 3 parts. Brief, short, specific questions aimed at finding things like the participant's sex, age, teaching experience, etc. The second part constituted a rating and evaluation of the science club activities involved based on a 5-point Leichhardt scale. Before the final section constituted 2 open-ended exploratory questions about informal learning activities to gauge the science educators' opinions and views on how enjoyable and effective science clubs could be. Participants were then given 2 to 3 weeks to evaluate the activities within the program using the questionnaire, before the semi-structured interviews were conducted via video call, where participants' views could be explored more deeply and at greater length, so that their perspectives on the topic could be examined more in greater detail. So this was the quantitative data. As can be seen, female teachers predominated. There was an even distribution of the different ages from 25 to 65. Teachers were relatively experienced and extended from 5 to 10 years to 30 plus years. No teacher had a qualification below an undergraduate scientific degree, with some teachers having a postgraduate teaching degree in a scientific field. Most of the teachers consulted were biology teachers, as compared to the 3 for each of physics and chemistry. The subjects which teachers had taught in the past were mostly biology, physics and chemistry being joint second, physics and biology being joint second. Teachers had mostly taught integrated science, before physics and biology joined second, chemistry at third, and the least being maths and primary school science. Most of the teachers consulted hailed from the church school background, with the least being from private schools. As can be seen from the graph, the feedback generated was mostly positive, with small alterations suggested, and as can be seen, there is the 5 criteria for the Leichhardt scale. There was very good, did not need to be altered essentially for each activity. Good, could use some alteration. Not bad, needed a lot of alteration. Not very good, needed a real lot of alteration. And the last, not good at all, needed to be omitted. So the qualitative data was then examined through a thematic analysis, where 9 themes were identified, the first of which was the wow factor, the joys in the discovery. Teachers said that novelty and difference heavily contribute to the curiosity of the student. They said that no matter how detailed notes and books were, the most effective way for students to recall scientific content was through the creation of experiences which are altogether different from the normal and traditional lesson. They emphasized how student-centered and hands-on learning was so important, where students choose what they wanted to do. And they said how the most effective educators were those who guided and facilitated rather than dictated and demonstrated, with group work and self-autonomy being frequently mentioned. Collaboration and direct communication with students, spontaneity and freedom were also mentioned. The ability to explore, inquire, risk and be different, and most importantly, the sharing of knowledge acquired through personal experience, which not only allows students to understand the content more deeply, but each other more deeply, where each student becomes a source of knowledge, so that the entire classroom becomes a community of learners and of learning. The relevance of the syllabus and everyday life. One teacher commented that the aim of our science clubs is to enhance the learning of our syllabi so that the students understand more during the lesson, with another teacher commenting how we need to get students to realize that science is all around them. One of the same teachers commented about time constraints and practical considerations, about how the syllabus is jam-packed. There is not enough time for depth understanding. Another teacher along with others, commented about critical thinking and the importance of skills and values that we teach students, and not just content. We give them educational material, he said, but we're not giving them an education. We're not forming them into critical thinkers. We are not giving them the tools with which they can use it. It is not making them capable of self-direction in their own learning. He also said how students don't link subjects together. They see them separately. They don't try to link it. And he said how this is a failure in our education system, this under the theme of interdisciplinarity. The theme of the teacher-student relationship was also examined, how it's totally different in a science club, where in the science club the student and teacher are united by a common interest in science, which creates the possibility for a genuine relationship based on mutual trust and collaboration. This can be contrasted with the reality within a standard lesson, unfortunately, where there is an element of obligation on behalf of the teacher and the student. The trust, which is facilitated by this voluntary and self-directed nature, leads to an increased spirit of genuineness on behalf of both teacher and student. It gives both the freedom to confront, to debate, and to imagine. The eighth theme identified was the love for the subject. I am here because I want to be here. A science club can help to connect the teacher's passion for the subject with the students, since it is self-directed and voluntary, and this allows students to feel more at ease and encourages them to learn in an environment where they do not feel compelled to learn, but are encouraged to learn. And the element of differentiation and competition, which, even though there is no direct assessment generally in science clubs, students can assess themselves, can self-assess themselves, where they can be encouraged to be in a constant competition with themselves and not defined by oneself, by other people. These 9 themes were then condensed into 3 overarching ones: interest and autonomy, motivation and mastery, and understanding, not memorizing. Interest was identified as an indicator of academic capability. Students who might be interested in science, said one teacher, or who might be inclined towards the sciences might not necessarily do well academically. High ability might not only refer to students who are obtaining the highest levels of attainment, but who have more of an interest to do this in their free time. Student-centered learning gives autonomy to the learner. The research has even shown how autonomy has a powerful effect on individual performance and attitude. The voluntary nature of attendance at a science club can have a real role to play in this. Autonomy. I'm not here because I have to be here, said one teacher, describing the attitude of students, but because I want to be here. This gives a new dimension to the activity. I'm here because I want to work. It's not someone told me to be here. I want to be here. Motivation and mastery. As shown by the literature, humans are naturally motivated to develop competence and to solve problems. Motivation affects the amount of time people are willing to devote to learning, with studies showing how learners of all ages are most motivated when they are passionate about what they are learning, when they can see the perceived usefulness of what they are learning. One teacher commented how the information is passed on to make an impact on the student's life in science clubs, and not just on the student's categorization of science as a subject. You will hear about students going home and speaking to their parents about what they learned during the science club. Students can even see the intrinsic value of what they are learning and how what they are learning can span multiple domains of knowledge. And the problem with this is that there is not enough time for this to take place within the current school system. The last theme was understanding, not memorizing, where learning with understanding is more difficult than memorizing and more time consuming. Many curricula fail to support with learning with understanding because they present too many disconnected facts in too short a space of time. There is a lack of opportunity, time, and focused on and for the deepening of knowledge as opposed to its mere acquisition. The key to expertise, as shown by research, is the time for the mastery of concepts that allow for deep understanding of that information, thus transforming it from a set of facts into usable knowledge and larger overarching ideas. Such a conceptual framework allows learners to organize information into meaningful patterns and store it hierarchically in memory to facilitate retrieval for problem solving. Some limitations of the study included a larger sample size of science teachers, which would have been more representative of their perspectives and experiences of informal learning activities. It would have provided a richer view of teachers' opinions and experiences in general. Another limitation was the lack of teachers coming specifically from a background of work within independent schools in Malta. Some recommendations for future study. The issues of time in the syllabus must be addressed, with a view to allowing greater freedom for teachers to go in depth on certain topics of increased relevance. We must allow both teachers and students the possibility to explore interesting and meaningful subjects, which enhance the learning experience of all those concerned. Engaging with meaning and value and making these the priorities. Changes to the syllabus, therefore, to a more streamlined iteration focusing more on topics of relevance and consequence should be enacted, with teachers from different subject areas being encouraged to collaborate to make lessons and site visits more transdisciplinary to knowledge acquisition. This brings me to the end of my presentation. Thank you for your attention.